Yo, what is going on, guys? So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the tech class. And so we're going to be doing a video for every single one of the classes, one of the 6 classes, talking about who I think are the top 5 champions in each of these classes. Now, this is all my own personal opinion, and if you guys disagree, that's cool. If you just go ahead in the comments and tell me why. Let's keep it nice and civil, though. Let's just be nice about it. We all love the same game. Let's just talk about it, have some fun, No need to get hostile. So the tech class, this one is very difficult because the tech class has just some really, really good champions in it, man. And it also has a lot of just like good champions in it. So I think the way that I'm going to be doing these is I'm going to start with an honorable mention, or maybe 2 honorable mentions, and then I'm going to get into the actual top 5 list. So the honorable mention in the tech class is my boy Stark Spidey. So Stark Spidey doesn't quite make it into the top 5, and it hurts my soul, man. It really does. This guy was my favorite champion in the game for so long. He was the first 5-star champion I went for with 5-star shards for the featured. Getting him and using him really started to grow my channel. Winning Comic-Con with him, that was like the catalyst for me gaining so many subscribers, and it was just like I owe a great debt to this man, and it hurts me that I can't put him in the top 5. It really does. He's just old now, and every champion on this list was either had updated abilities or is newer than him. But in his time, man, he was by far the best tech champ in the game. In his prime, dude, he was at the top of the game, the best champion in the game for quite a while. It was crazy. He hits like an absolute unit. He's got auto evade for special attacks, very high chance, which is very scarce utility. He's got taunt, which is cool. And, he's still really good. It's just all the new tech champions, they have so many more abilities and so much other cool stuff going on. So unfortunately, I can't put him in the top 5 list. It really hurts, but I'll always love Stark Spidey. Definitely will always be one of my favorite characters, and yeah, I love this dude. I absolutely love him. Now, let's get into the actual top 5 list. So coming in at number 5, we have a 5-star tech champ that I do not own, Hulkbuster. So Hulkbuster, after his buff, man, is insane. He is so good. Now, it was really between him and Stark Spidey for that number 5 spot, and what ultimately put Hulkbuster over Stark Spidey is just he has more abilities going on. He can easily match Stark Spidey's damage output if you play his rotation correctly. But not only that, he has way more health. Let's see, 32,000 health on this 5-star, and Stark Spidey has, 24,000. Just look at the difference in health, man. It's pretty ridiculous. And not only does Hulkbuster have a lot more health, but he's got armor ups to help. And he also just has a super fat regeneration, which is so good about Hulkbuster, man. Such a good thing to have built in. Just a crazy regeneration. Hulkbuster, man, he makes the top 5 spot. The only thing Hulkbuster really needs is a slight little fix on his heavy attack. Just give him like a little bit of a slide when he uses it, because right now it's straight uppercut. He needs to go slide, uppercut a little bit, and that should help with the whiffing. And if you get that, then that'd be a much needed change. But if you're a super pro Hulkbuster player, you'll know the spacing when you can and can't launch a heavy attack. But yeah, it would just make him a bit smoother to play if that did get changed. But he just has so many awesome abilities, great power control. If you can play him correctly, completely drain 3 bars of power, which is awesome. And just that regeneration for me is just what does it for me. I'll absolutely love champions with a really fat regen like that. It's just so good for long-term questing and just so useful. So Hulkbuster takes the number 5 spot on the list. Now, coming in at the number 4 spot, we have my girl Guillotine 2099. So Guillotine 2099 is one of the most well-balanced champions in the entire game, I think. She is extremely good in so many situations. She is by far one of the best Labyrinth options in the game. I did the easy path of Labyrinth all the way to Maestro without using a single revive or a single potion, and my Guillotine was above 90% health by the time I got there. Like, she is so sustainable, and her damage output in that long form of content is just absolutely ridiculous. She's just so great. On top of all that, she's also a robot, so she's great for fighting champions like Omega Red. She got the built-in armor up buff to fight champions like Havoc. And even if you don't have an armor buff, you also have a power burn pre-fight ability that you can use against Havoc. Also a lifesteal, which it's not a lot, but it can really keep you topped up. Like, that's why I use in Labyrinth to keep my health topped off. And then if you do happen to get low on health, she also has regeneration, a self-repair, which, you can just pop a 20% revive on Guillotine if you die with her. Take some blocked hits, get to push to 15%, and then boom, you're going to heal right to 50%. Like, that's awesome potion savingness right there, which is great. The only downside to her is her combo and how you carry it over with the L3. Now, that's what I think makes her so well balanced. If she didn't have to do that, if you just had to do that like once, and then every fight you finish with over 100 hits, they just keep going, she'd be pretty crazy. So it definitely balances her out, but that is definitely her biggest downside, because in some fights you just can't get to a special 3. You can't finish with a special 3. Maybe there's a node power locking you, maybe there's a node power draining you so much, who knows. But there's a lot of situations where you're just unable to finish the fight with an L3, and then you have to start over all that on the next fight. And when she's not over 100 hits, she's pretty underwhelming, and she doesn't have access to 2 of her 3 pre-fight abilities. The great thing about Guillotine, though, is she doesn't crit. That is a huge bonus, and it's not like she needs the critical hits to do real damage. When she go over 100 hits, she has some of the highest damage potential in the game. Probably like the highest DPS in the game, damage per second, in the entire game. I'm thinking maybe like She-Hulk fully with a ton of Furies, because she has no cap. But Guillotine, pretty crazy. And it's good because she can't crit, but there is a way to make her crit. So if you need to get her to crit for some reason, you still can, which I like that. It's nice to just have that option. Just who knows what kind of, maybe you're doing crit me with your best shot, and for some reason you have to use Guillotine 2099, she can do it, so it's nice that you can. But yeah, she comes in at number 4 on the list. Definitely one of my favorite tech champions. Absolutely love her. Have her as a 6-star. Just took her to rank 2. Eventually, probably going to take her to rank 3. And yeah, so that's Guillotine at number 4. At number 3, we have a brand new tech champion, and that is Guardian. So it was really tough to choose between Guardian and Guillotine for this number 3 spot, because before Guardian came out, Guillotine definitely just owned that number 3 spot. But Guardian, I put him above her. I find there's a lot of comparisons between the two. They both got armor up buff. They both have really crazy damage potential. They both don't crit, which is great. So I definitely see a lot of similarities between the two, but I feel like Guardian is just a lot more practical. Now, his damage output in the videos that you've seen for the crazy damage output that he's capable of is not practical at all, but you don't need to play like that for practical damage and for like a practical fight. Now, when I say practical, he just has so much bulkiness built into him. I'm not able to show the awaken ability here because I don't have him, but I can pull the 3-star. But yeah, so let's do that. When Guardian is awakened and max sig, he just gets so many bonuses that just make him an absolute tank, and it's crazy. So he gets more block proficiency, energy resistance, bleed resistance, and critical damage resistance, so long as you have an armor up buff active. So with all that together, man, so much utility in that awakened ability, and the energy resistance that he can get is the highest energy resistance in the entire game, and it can almost make him immune to like incinerate, cold snap, shock, which is just crazy. Like, you can heal from willpower. You're essentially immune to like damages from like limbo. Like, you just don't have to worry about energy damage. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing, and that's just so good. On top of all that, he can't crit, so you don't have to worry about flow, Mr. Sinisters. He doesn't have any way to crit, which, like I said, I like to just have the ability to be able to crit if you need it, but that's not the biggest downside. And he makes up for the non-critting through shock damage. His real weakness is shock immunity. If the opponent is shock immunity, then you're just not going to be doing really much damage to them. But as long as the opponent isn't shock immune, you're going to be able to deal a lot of damage through shocks. And he does have like one of the best damage potentials in the game. If you play him stupid and just build L3, 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 then you can just nuke anything down with a single L2 that's not shock immune, which is cool. But, you know, in like practical fights, you're not going to be doing that. But just like 1, 2 L3s into a big special 2 is going to deal a lot of damage. So, yeah, I really like that. He also has a little bit of power drain on his, if you do a finished combo with light attacks, you can drain a couple of your force field charges for that, which I really like, just having that as a safety net. That was one of my favorite things about Stark Spidey, just on his heavy attack, power drain. Because it really comes in handy in certain circumstances. You never know when you might need a little bit of utility like that. Also has perfect block on special attacks and auto block, which is pretty cool. And yeah, the armor ups to fight Havoc. So yeah, I think Guardian, you know, he's just very practical. Saving all my 6-star shards to try to obtain this guy when his feature crystal comes out, just because I think he's just such a well-rounded character. So he makes the number 3 spot on this list for the tech class. Now coming in at the number 1 and 2 spot, we have Warlock at number 2. Now Warlock, he is one crazy guy, and I have tried my hardest to obtain this character. I have done so much to try to get him. When he first came out, I did my CCP video on him, and a lot of people were sleeping on him. A lot of people were saying that his damage output is extremely underwhelming when he first came out. But I was in love with him. I thought his damage output was pretty good with suicides, which I was always running back in the day. Still run them quite a bit now. And just his utility alone, it just makes him so insane. He has one of the best heal blocks in the game because it's so easy to activate, keep active, and it doesn't count as like a standard heal block because there's nodes that are immune to heal block or, you know, get rid of heal block or something like that. But nothing can get around this virus infection. The only weakness is characters with a lot of buffs. Just really shortens the duration of it. But yeah, Warlock, you know, he's got some solid immunities as well. Immune to bleed, poison, cold snap, and frostbite, so that's good. He's also a robot, so he's going to be getting against champions like Omega Red. Being immune to bleed and poison is great for running the suicide masteries. He's got some bleed on his heavy attack, which is cool. And then he also has some decent regeneration with his special 3. And yeah, this guy is just so suicide friendly. You literally can just use special 3s, keep healing, you take no damage from recoil that way, you're immune to bleed and poison. You can also go for special 2s for some bigger damage output. You apply some very chunky armor breaks on the opponent, which is nice. And just, you know, just bypassing healing so easily is just an amazing utility to have. And just stopping healing, like no one pretty much does it better than Warlock. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, he's just so good. You know, there's very few downsides to this character, and I've wanted him ever since I made that CCP video. Still don't have him as a 5 or a 6-star. I went for the Tech Abyss Crystal just to try to get him. Didn't work out for me. Yeah, definitely want this guy. He is my my white whale that I've been trying to obtain. Maybe one day, but he makes that number 2 spot on this tech list. He's up here because I want him so bad. He's so good. And then coming in at the number 1 spot, I'm sure you guys all know who it is. It's Ghost. So Ghost, definitely one of the top 2 champions in the entire game. Ghost is just so good. It is ridiculous. No one champion in the game can do like what Ghost does the way she does it. You know, like she just has so many different abilities, like so many things built into her kit. It's ridiculous. Like some characters have like 1, 2 things they can do. Ghost has like 20 things she can do in her. It's just nuts how much stuff she can do. One of the best things that Ghost has, though, like, is just her phasing mechanic, and just for combat reasons, because you take out all of the normal fighting aspects of the game: parry, intercepts, baiting heavy attacks, all that. Like, that's how you fight the opponent. That's how you hit them. But Ghost creates her own way. She just phases, lets the opponent come at them, miss, and then she attacks. And it's just easy, free openings. And that alone, it makes Ghost so good. But she has so many more abilities, and you give her synergies, and it makes her even stronger. Especially, you can play her without Wasp, but with Wasp, it's just so much more seamless. And then Hood, the synergy with Hood, man, like, so much utility in one synergy. It is ridiculous. So just Ghost, take no damage while phasing. No damage while phasing. And you can phase, you can hide in your phase to negate so much damage. This also works for L3s. So while Ghost has 0 power control abilities, she can just push the opponent to L3, phase, and just not worry, not a care in the world. It's crazy. On top of all that, Ghost can crit 100% of the time, can bypass evasion 100% of the time through her phasing mechanics. She can get a ton of buffs, so she can be useful for, like, buffed up. She can also become immune to essentially every single damage over time debuff in the game, so long as you can phase. So long as you can phase, any damage over time debuff, degen, fury, bleed, poison, anything, you name it. Howard the Duck's thing that he applies when he hits his 30% threshold, what is that called? Thunderquack. You can turn that, you can become immune to that too when you phase. And not only do you become immune to it, but you turn it into a Fury passive, so you can just hit even harder. Her specials can always crit, which is amazing. And there's just so much wrapped up in Ghost, man. It's hard to fathom all of these abilities being owned by one character. It really is. It really is. And then on top of all that, you give her awakened ability, and every time you take a hit and it misses you when you're phasing, which you do take at every single opening, you can also take multiple hits and then attack. So you can do 2 hits is very safe. 3 hits you can do if the opponent throws 3 hits. So let's just say 2. So 10% power every time the opponent comes and hits you. You can phase through special attacks. So, you know, like Dark Spidey has auto evade. Ghost can just phase through them. And the more hits, the better, because you get more power. More power, more specials. Specials guaranteed crits, more damage. It just all snowballs into one just absolutely absurd champion. And it is crazy. She does take some skill to really master to her full potential. But you can learn. And with enough practice, you can get it down. And not only all that, but then you put the suicide masteries on Ghost as well. And then she is the best suicide champion in the game with the Hood synergy, because you're immune to everything. The fight starts, bleed and poison, they always turn into fury if you're awakened, and this isn't affected by ability accuracy, so nothing can turn those off. So you'll always be immune to those bleed and poison effects. At the start of the fight, turn them into furies. So you don't have to worry about that part of the suicide, so that's just free attack rating from that. And then with Hood, if you can master it, you can just, after your special attack on your special 2s, you can just dash back at the right moment to trigger phase, to take no damage while phasing, no recoil damage. So all of that just enhanced by suicides, even more damage output. It's just snowballs into one crazy thing. So yeah, Ghost, definitely the best tech champion in the game. It's not even a question for me. Like, no tech champion comes close. There's just so much that she can do. It is absolutely ridiculous. The only champion in the entire game that comes close to being a Ghost level is Quake. But that's a discussion. We'll talk about Quake when we get to the science video. But that's going to do it for the top 5 tech champions in the game. Ghost is number 1. You all knew it was coming. That's the explanation on why. That's going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, drop a like. If you agreed, let me know. If you disagreed, let me know who you would put. I know some people are going to get mad at me for not putting Sentinel up here. I just don't rate Sentinel as much as some other people do. I think he's a good champion. I just don't think he's quite as good as the champions that I mentioned. But yeah, I'm very interested to hear your guys' thoughts, feedback, opinions, and yeah, we're going to be doing one of these videos for the rest of the classes. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Peace out.